Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, this story was titled on the OhNoConsequences subreddit as "I was a horrible parent, how dare you tell me the truth," but originally posted on the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit titled "Am I the Arsehole Here for telling my dad he's a terrible person and father when he wanted to know why I want nothing to do with him." Originally posted by Confident Tower 3976. My parents divorced when my sister, 21 female, and I, 19 male, were very young. Our dad cheated on mum and immediately tried to alienate us from her by saying the woman he cheated with was our new mum. She was pregnant too, which only made everything more fucked. The other woman lost the baby at like 5 months, and she ended up leaving dad because of it, and because of us and our mum. Dad blamed mum for all of that. He used to say mum cursed the pregnancy and did some kind of magic to make her lose the baby. It was an insane thing to hear as a really young kid. He eventually got married again to someone else, and my sister and I were still really young, so he tried to turn her into our mum. He would punish us for using her first name, and she would punish us for it too. They used to tell everyone she was our mum. They told our teachers, our friends' parents, and literally anyone they interacted with that she was our mum. We got into huge trouble for saying otherwise. My dad would tell us mum was trying to stop us from being a family. He said mum made his wife sterile and accused her of all kinds of fucked up things. His wife went along with it and would go crazy at mum in front of us and then tried to make us side with her. Because we didn't turn against mum and didn't believe them, they got more crazy with the accusations and attempts to ruin our relationship with mum. My mum fought them in court. She had us in therapy and we spoke to people from CPS and the courts, and CPS let this go on for years. I was 14 and my sister was 16 before they reduced dad's contact with us to supervised visits once a month. And even still, we needed to talk to him twice a month on the phone too. We hated it. We hated them. We saw how awful our dad was, and mum never had to say a thing against him for us to see it. Me and my sister went no contact with dad once we turned 18. She hasn't spoken to him in 3 years. Well, it's 16 months for me. I might have fucked up though, because he kept reaching out via fake accounts on socials, and then he used a family member's phone to call me, and I answered because I didn't realize it was him. And I let him talk, and then I told him he was a shitty person and father, and explained all that stuff he did to mum and us made him that way. I told him he was the one who cheated, yet he tried to alienate us from mum and tried to get us to replace her with some rando. And he told us over and over that mum was the reason the baby died that time. I told him all that stuff made him a person I didn't ever want in my life. And I told him there's nothing to fix it. I ended the call and texted that relative that I wouldn't answer their calls again or texts that were clearly from dad. I have family members on dad's side asking me why I had to be so awful to him, and why my sister and I aren't grown enough to approach an adult relationship with him maturely, and to see the good in him. They even said he fought so hard for us, and we should appreciate him being there. Am I the arsehole here? No. What OP described isn't just like messy divorce stuff, it's like years of manipulation, false accusations, and just basically trying to control OP and their sister. That kind of behavior just doesn't disappear just because you're adults now. And you gave him an honest answer to a question he pushed for, and he just didn't like hearing the truth. And like we see in many stories like this, going no contact with someone after a childhood like that isn't immature or anything like that. It's just protecting yourself, and that's what you need to do in this situation. And he's proven that he hasn't really changed. He's using fake accounts and other people's phones to get around your boundaries, and it kind of proves that. And anyone going on about see the good on him, it's easy for them to say when they didn't have to live through it. Again, you're not obligated to maintain a relationship with someone who calls that level of bullshit in your life, even if they are your parent. A commenter says to OP, "Not the arsehole, it sounds like the family on his side is as horrible as he is. You're well rid of these people who don't acknowledge the damage that was done to you and your sister." OP says, "I used to think most of his family was okay, but I'm reconsidering it now. I hate how much people will defend others' awful actions." Beach says, "Not the arsehole, and to answer his family's question, you can just say, that's how he raised us. F him and F them. I'm sorry you had to endure that, and I hope you can heal now. Protect your peace." OP says, "Thank you. Our mum has helped us heal so much already, and she still pays for our therapy sessions. We both still need them, just less often than before. But it really fucked with us that the courts and CPS didn't do more way sooner. And one more comment who says, no, you aren't at all. Not the arsehole here. I say this as someone who also had a family dynamic similar to yours, in that the parents were separating with one hyper-toxic parent trying to alienate us, myself and my brothers, away from the other parent who actually gave a damn and tried to make our lives better. You owe him nothing, and by reaching out, in my opinion, he asked for honesty. Treating people horribly, especially your family, can have consequences such as no contact. Parents like this very rarely change, and you don't deserve to subject yourself to the toxicity for his sake. You are honest, and maybe he will self-reflect and become a better person. But maybe, probably not. And either way, you have no obligation to hold a hand through that process. Protect yourself and your mental and physical health. All you did was tell the truth. It's not your fault the truth makes him look or feel like a shitty parent. That is his own fault. Opie responded saying, I don't think he's capable of acknowledging what an awful person he is. If anything, it fuels him to think even more awful things about Mum, even though the only thing she did was leave him after he cheated and got someone else pregnant. He's the one who did everything to her, from cheating to the alienation to the lies and accusations. I just don't get people like that, how they look at themselves in the mirror and they don't see what they've done to their own kids, your own children, and then be absolutely horrified at themselves. Bloody hell. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Passenger Forsaken 793 and says, am I the arsehole for telling my sister she got what she deserved? So my 30 female sister, 31 female, has been with her husband, 30 male, for 8 years, married for 3. My sister and I don't really get on very well. She has cheated on every single person she has ever been in a relationship with, and is very selfish and self-centered. If something doesn't revolve around her, she throws a tantrum. And if something she does isn't solely for her benefit, she doesn't do it. She is my sister, and I love her, but I try to avoid being around her as much as possible. However, her husband and I have been friends for years, as we were in the same year together at school. He's very different to my sister and would give the shirt off his back if it would help someone. Her and her husband separated recently, as my sister had an affair with her husband's best friend of 25 years. Understandably, this crushed her husband, but he put on a brave face for the sake of their son and hopefully to co-parent civilly. I stayed out of it. Didn't want to get sucked into the drama. I told both my sister and her husband that I hope they're okay, and that was that. Recently, my sister came to visit me. I've lived 200 miles away for 7 years, and she's never once visited me before, even though she's been invited numerous times, and proceeded to rant about how the guy she is with now, the affair partner, has changed since they got together, and that he doesn't do anything around the house, won't find a job, etc, etc. He was already unemployed when they started their affair, and now she wishes she just stayed with her husband, and how when she told him that, he laughed at her and said he didn't want her back. I didn't want to hear it, and told her as much, but she kept going. After about an hour, I eventually just said, well, you should have thought about that before you started shagging someone else. You brought this on yourself. My sister ended up leaving. My husband thinks what I said was fair enough, but my mum, who also had an affair on my father 20 years ago, thinks what I said was too harsh, and it's clear she regrets her behavior. So now I'm wondering, was what I said too harsh? Look, you didn't go out your way to kick her while she was down. You know, she's knowingly cheated with someone who already showed red flags, and now she's upset the consequences aren't working out in her favor. That's not bad luck, that's cause and effect. And by the way the story was written, it sounded like she only came to you to vent, not actually take any accountability. But Impressive says, not the arsehole. She doesn't regret her behavior. She doesn't like the consequences. She doesn't even seem to miss her ex-husband, just the things he used to do for her. I seek a reply saying exactly, she only misses the convenience of having him beside her. It was pure selfishness. And what did your sister expect? It's such a joke that she wanted your sympathy after destroying her marriage. You only told her the truth that others won't say to her face. So, not the arsehole. Commenter says, not the arsehole. It looks like your mum is validating her own actions through your sister. She did bring this upon herself. She made her bed, now she has to sleep in it. And one more comment from Normal who says, not the arsehole. Your mum is wrong. Your sister doesn't regret her behavior, just the consequences of her behavior. Note that it's only her affair partner's domestic behavior and the way it makes her extra work that she doesn't like. She still hasn't expressed any personal remorse for the hurt caused to her ex-husband by her own wrong actions. Because here's the thing, her affair partner hasn't changed since the affair started. She's just living with him full time now. His lack of work ethic used to mean that he was the fun best friend with time to play, while her husband was boring. But now she's living with him, the same lack of effort affects her directly, because she's not just visiting and he's still not a team player. So she has to pick up the slack in order to live comfortably. And she hasn't even broken up with him as a result. She's just gone and whinged to her ex that it would be nice if he let her come back and pretend that the cheating didn't happen, because he's a better partner. Absolutely, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Our next story comes from Ruined Trip and says, my girlfriend, 25 female, broke up with me, 28 male, on the first day of our vacation. Oof. My girlfriend, ex-girlfriend I guess, and I just arrived at our resort today. And we broke up at the airport before we even took off. The whole point of the trip was to get away so we could try to get our relationship happy again without dealing with work stress. And she gave me yet another ultimatum, and I called her bluff, and she broke up with me. She hasn't been in the hotel room, but I know she's going to want to get back together, and I don't think I want to. But yeah, now we're stuck in a hotel room together for a week. So what do I do? How do I make this not awkward? I don't want to fight with her, but I don't think I want to get back together. And we live together, so we'll have to deal with that when we get home. A commenter says, yet another ultimatum? What do you mean? You called her bluff? How often does this sort of thing happen? What was a vacation supposed to achieve? Why did you even get on the airplane? Opie says she just gives ultimatums for everything that she wants, and I'm sick of it. This one was about how if I didn't ask someone to switch seats so we could sit together, we'd break up. It's always been pretty petty shit so she can get her way. She does it all the time. I got on because I paid for it, so I wanted to come. A commenter says, so why are you with her? Opie says I'm not anymore. The trip was supposed to be a last-ditch effort to fix things, but I just don't think she's worth it anymore. A commenter says, I know if I throw money at her, her fundamental personality will change irrevocably. I don't get this mindset. Vacation is not life-changing therapy. Opie said lesson learned. She really hates her job, so I thought being away from it would make her happy, but I guess not. Another commenter says, is there no way you can get out of there before? Call your airlines, see if they can move you back a few days. If you can't, go out, have fun, get another room, bang anyone who wants to bang you. You're single now, act like it. Seriously though, get another room in another hotel if possible, since you're adamant that you're done with this relationship. Good decision by the way. It's better you get far away from her as possible, lest things get more awkward. Opie says they can move my flight, but it's really fucking expensive, so I'd rather not move it. I'll see if I can get another room. Kinda sucks paying for 2 rooms though. I wish I could kick her out of mine. Would that be wrong? Someone asked, can Opie get a different room other than the original room reservation? Opie says, I wonder if that would be illegal. We'll try to switch rooms. Hopefully they have something available. My girlfriend still hasn't checked in. I called and they said I would have to get another room for myself and I can't just switch or take her name off since she made the reservation, even though I paid. She can afford it, I think. The commenter says she's going to come crawling back to you by the end of the night, wanting to be with you on vacation. Let her know what the fuck is good and keep calling her bluff. She ended the relationship over some bullshit, so let her deal with the consequences of it. Opie says she already did. I was talking to someone I met and she interrupted to ask me to come with her. But she asked me to apologize so we could move on. Someone said, did Opie pay for the whole vacation? Can the ex afford to pay on her own? Opie says, yeah, I paid for the whole thing. I probably won't cancel it though. I'm not sure how much she could afford to pay on her own. Someone says, where is Opie vacationing at the time? Can he leave the resort? Opie says, probably, I'm in the Dominican Republic, although everyone says not to leave the resort. Someone asks, can Opie move out of his place after he gets back home? Opie says, I own the house, so I'm not moving out. It was 10 days later. Opie updated this post and says, I just wanted to update on my shitty vacation. The first day was really bad. I stuck to the hotel room for most of it, and when I finally went out at night, she tried to start fights and get me to stop talking to people because she thought I was going to cheat on her. The front desk person found me another room that was a huge upgrade, so I moved there for the rest of the trip to avoid my girlfriend. I guess she didn't stay in the old room either, so I'm not sure who ended up paying for that, but I was expecting a huge bill for the shit she charged to the room. It was pretty awkward, but I did my best to have a good time. I met a ton of people, and it was easy to make friends since everyone thought the situation was hilarious. My girlfriend never went too far away. She would approach me a couple of times every day to try and work things out so we can enjoy our vacation, and she kept an eye on me the whole time. When I wouldn't talk to her, she tried to start a fight, and a couple of times she actually screamed at me for everyone to hear. After it finally became clear to her that I was moving on, she stopped bugging me and she flew out a couple of days early. I ended up spending most of my time with a group that was there for a wedding and even attended a ceremony. I'd rate it 7 out of 10 vacation, all things considered. I feel a bit bad about how shitty her trip was. I did some shit just to piss her off that probably wasn't necessary. I was hoping that she'd be mad enough to just move out of my house before I got home, but she's still living here with me, and now I'm living in my own basement just to avoid her. I did give her an eviction notice, but 1 month is far too long to be living with an ex. My dogs have been staying with my friend, so I can make sure she doesn't try to take them or something, but her staying here is really fucking everything up. Someone asks OP, can OP stay with a friend until his ex moves out? OP says I could, but I worry about my house and stuff. I moved everything I could down into the basement, so the upstairs is really bare bones. I'm trying to make her as uncomfortable as possible to speed up the process. Commodore says, man, she sounds like a piece of work. She is the one that broke up with you, but also didn't want you to have fun. I'm glad you're able to have a good time regardless though. Good luck with the living situation. Is the place yours or hers? How much longer will you have to live with her? Opie says I don't think she actually wanted to break up. I called her ultimatum bluff and she's just stubborn enough to follow through. But she was begging me to get back together after, and I would just need to apologize to her to make it work. Lol. It's my house. I own it, and her name isn't on it or anything. She just has until mid-June to leave, but I'm hoping she'll move out June 1st. Opie gives examples of his ex's ultimatums she gave him. Opie says it's hard to remember. She told me to stop working out so much or we'd break up. It was only every other day for an hour or two. She said if I went to the beach wearing basketball shorts instead of a swimsuit, we would break up, because you can see my dick outline. It wasn't just ultimatums though. There was a lot wrong with our relationship. The Commodore says, why does she get a whole month to move out? Is it a law where you are? Poor you having to put up with her for that long. Opie says it's the law unfortunately. Someone says, does OP know what legal steps to take if X doesn't move out in a month? Opie says, I don't, but my lawyer friend does. The Commodore says, sounds to me like breaking up was never supposed to be permanent. She was just using it as a way to get complete control of the relationship. I.e., she wanted you to come crawling and begging on your hands and knees, telling her you would do anything to get her back. And by doing it on vacation, she figured you'd have no choice but to accept her power play. When you basically told her to fuck right off, she lost her shit and decided you weren't going to enjoy your vacation if she wasn't. And when that didn't work, she just bailed early. Talk about dodging a big bullet, OP. OP responds saying yeah, she definitely didn't want to actually break up. Breaking up destroyed her plans for getting married and having babies, and that's all she wanted these days. Someone says, did OP do something crazy to mess with his ex? OP said nothing crazy. Since my girlfriend was following me around, one of the bridesmaids offered to pretend to go to my hotel room with me to make my girlfriend jealous, and I took her up on it. We ended up actually hooking up, and we were purposely handsy with each other for the rest of the vacation. The Commodore says, so you're coming out of a controlling relationship by hiding in your basement. This seems like a great time to practice standing up for yourself. Don't be a doormat, especially now you are no longer invested. OP says, well, I can't kick her out illegally for job reasons and all my shit is locked up in the basement, so I know she doesn't fuck with it. So I have no reason to go upstairs. It sucks, but it's the best way to do things. The Commodore says, invite a friend to live with you until your ex moves out to protect yourself against any false accusations. Your ex sounds like a piece of work who can do pretty stupid things. If she files a police report with false accusations and gets a protection order, you'll not be able to enter your own house and she'll be able to live there for a long time. Depending on state eviction process, may take months to years. OP says that's probably a good idea. I hope OP did eventually get her ass out of that apartment. Bloody hell, issuing ultimatums as a manipulation tactic like that is absolutely awful. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now my next story, it comes from BestOf Redditor Updates subreddit. It was titled there, Woman Assaulted, Abandoned for Having Daughters, plus the delusional ex-husband's version as well. And I'll tell you when the husband comes back into it, but first we're starting with the wife's version of events, which was titled, Mother-in-law thinks I cheated on my husband because we're having a girl. Physically assaults me at 8 months pregnant. This is a long one, so strap in. I'm 26 female and husband is 30 male. Mother-in-law is 70 years old. Her and father-in-law had my husband later in life as a last chance to have a kid. Husband has a name like John William Smith IV. The name has been passed down for literally generations. I will also mention, as it's important, there's not been a girl born on his side of the family in more than 100 years. There's a huge running joke that the men in his family cannot produce female babies. So fast forward to our wedding day in 2017. I've had a pretty good relationship with mother-in-law up until this point. Wedding was great, beautiful ceremony, funny speeches, everything was great. Really. Until the end of the night, and we're getting ready to go leave to enjoy our honeymoon suite, and she looks me dead in the eyes and says, now make us our, insert husband's name, plus an extra Roman numeral. I nervously laughed and we departed. Well, ladies and gents, I did indeed make a beautiful baby with my husband over those 2 weeks, and who would have thought? A baby girl. Everyone was so shocked when we announced it was a girl, and most of the family denied it up until the moment she was born. That's when the horrible comments started. Whenever husband isn't around, mother-in-law and her family members will make snarky comments like, I wonder where she got that nose. It's definitely not husband's. For your information, my baby, as beautiful as she is strikingly obviously my husband's. She genuinely looks more and more like him as the first year has gone by, and even more so approaching 2. Well, as it would happen, we're now expecting our second baby, and yep, another girl. I begged husband not to tell mother-in-law the gender when we found out, as I wanted to enjoy a bit more of this pregnancy before she ruined it. I decided to keep the mean comments his mother made to me about our first daughter to myself, as she's old and in poor health, and I felt guilty about potentially ruining their relationship when she probably doesn't have that many years left to be around. I figure I'll add here that mother-in-law isn't dying or anything, she's just had extremely poor health her whole life, smoking a pack plus of cigarettes a day, eats garbage constantly, drinks only Diet Coke, refuses to exercise, etc. I literally offered this woman water once, after she almost passed out from walking 15 steps, and she gagged and said, that's disgusting, water makes me nauseous, get me my Diet Coke. So anyways, he insists on announcing it at our next visit, and holy shit y'all. As soon as she heard it was another girl, tears welled in her eyes and she started shaking her head back and forth and sobbing. She then started yelling at me, called me a whore, and demanded I get out of her house. Husband immediately stands up and starts yelling at her, asking what her problem is, and that she needs to apologize to me and watch her mouth in front of her grandkids. She says through broken wails, not ours, not ours, those girls are not ours. She's a slur, another slur. My son did not make those girls. I start crying hysterically and pick up my daughter, who is utterly confused as to why daddy is yelling at grandma and mummy is now crying. Mother-in-law then looks at me and starts yelling, I let you get away with it the first time. I took you in as family. I allowed my son to believe he fathered that brat, and I will not allow it again. Husband is now fucking pissed, y'all. Something I should mention here is that while husband prepared his whole life to having a son, he was thrown on his ass when our daughter was born. He never knew that he could love any girl in the world as much as he loves our daughter. He has made several comments over the past year and a half that he never knew how deep love could go before he held our baby girl. I can 100% assure you that if he had to save me, our daughter, or his mum, he'd save our daughter 10 out of 10 times. He gets extremely pissed and starts screaming at her that she is out of line and how dare she call his daughter names. He then goes on to say that we are leaving, and until she comes to her senses, she will never see any of us again. She tried to say something more, but he cuts her off and yells at her, by the way, mum, I love that little girl more than I ever loved you, as he is shutting us out the door. I cried and broke down and told husband all the little comments she and her family have said to me when he's not around while we drive the 2 hours home. He was so angry at them all and has been amazing in comforting me through it. We went no contact for a few months and everything seemed to be going great. We blocked her and father-in-law's phone numbers and hadn't heard from them except through other relatives over Facebook. which we either told them to not attempt to relay messages from mother-in-law or they would be blocked, or ignored them completely. Then, when I was nearing my due date, we decided to be the bigger person and reach out to her and father-in-law and offer them a chance to make things right. She whined and whines that she misses husband and granddaughter. We agreed to meet for dinner at their house after a few weeks for a proper talk and an apology from her. We agreed that daughter should not be present, so my sister was set to babysit her. We arrived, dinner is served, and we're trying to make small talk when husband is like, "Yeah mum, this has all been nice, but we need to talk to you about what happened and the things you said last time we were here. I know, and you know, that you owe my wife an apology." Mother-in-law then looks at husband and says, "Yes, you have the test." Husband replied, "What?" And she said, "The paternity test. I'm not apologizing until I'm proven wrong, and we both know I'm right. You cannot be the father, and the fact that you now have apparently made 2 girls is ridiculous." Husband said, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I start to cry and go to get up to grab my things and go to the car. Mother-in-law says, "Oh no you don't." She shoots up round the table and grabs my shirt, then proceeds to scream at me. "How dare you try to run away from this, you fucking slur, and you need to own up to this problem." Husband screams at her to get her hands off me and starts to make his way towards us. She then decides that I cannot be allowed to leave at any cost with her son, so she slaps me as hard as she can across my face. I push her arm away from me as I let out a scream from the shock of being slapped. Husband then gets in between me and his mum and starts to scream at her. He tells father-in-law to call the cops right now. Father-in-law ignores him and tries to calm mother-in-law down, insisting that we can deal with this. Husband is furious and I'm crying hysterically. He grabs my hand and we're making our way to the door when mother-in-law grabs a snow globe from a shelf and throws it directly at me, and it hits me right in the back of my head. It didn't shatter or anything, but it did end up hitting me on the base and cut my head open. I fell to my knees from the pain, and before husband can put together what just happened, she's grabbing anything she can find to throw in my direction. I'm on my knees on the ground, holding my head with one hand and my belly with the other. Being almost 9 months pregnant, as a cascade of random items are being thrown at me. Husband is screaming at the top of his lungs for her to stop, and she proceeds to try to get close enough to kick me as hard as she can. Thankfully, she is old and in bad health, so she loses momentum quickly. And as a last resort, husband pushes his mum and she falls back into a shelf by the front door and he rushes me out. I'm crying and freaking out and yelling she kicked my stomach over and over, and he drives me to the hospital. I end up getting 6 stitches in my head and then being monitored in the hospital for 4 days because she kicked my belly. The baby ended up being fine, and the hospital demanded we file a police report. We find out that when husband pushed his mum into the shelf, she ended up breaking 2 fingers and is claiming the excessive force hurt her neck very badly. Father-in-law called an ambulance for her, and she claimed that me and husband assaulted her in her doorway after they refused to let us in for a free dinner. Cops showed up and took our side of the story and compared our own report that we filed once at the hospital. They told us that mother-in-law is demanding to press charges against husband for assault. Well, we are pressing charges against her. So then my husband gets arrested, but then quickly released after mother-in-law is forced to tell the truth, and mother-in-law then gets arrested for my assault. Father-in-law is now begging us to drop charges as no one was hurt. What? I was fucking hurt, and my baby could have been hurt. And that we are being cruel to lock up an elderly woman. He insists that we drop the charges, that it was all a misunderstanding, and he puts mother-in-law in counseling. Thing is, because my injuries were documented in hospital, we literally can't drop the charges even if we were stupid enough to do so. Because it was filed through a hospital, there's no way it can just go away. We are currently at home waiting for baby number 2 to arrive. I'm on strict bed rest order, and husband has taken the week off work to help pamper me and take care of daughter. I asked husband if once baby number 2 arrives, we get paternity tests for both girls to send his mum in jail as a huge fuck you. He thinks it's a hilarious idea and thinks we should all make copies and send them to all the relatives who are entertaining his mum's craziness, along with a written letter saying goodbye, that none of them will ever see us or his daughters again, and that he hopes they're all happy knowing that they've ruined any chance they have to have a relationship with him or our children ever again. We are so thankful that our baby girl is okay through all of this, and so relieved that we decided against bringing our older daughter to their house that night. We can only imagine what could have happened had she been struck with something. My due date is currently 8 days away, and I have an appointment the day of to discuss induction if she hasn't arrived by then, and baby number 1 was a week overdue and I had to be induced last time. Any support for us is wonderful and greatly appreciated. I will update if any more craziness happens in the future. An edit. Holy crap, I never imagined this would get so much attention and responses. So much so that the comments are at capacity. I've read most of your guys' responses and I want to thank you all for your kind words and support. I wish I could respond to everyone individually. The family who got a girl after several generations and they took out a billboard. Holy shit, do I envy the joy and pure welcoming this family got. For those of you with similar experiences, who had a girl after several generations whose family was overjoyed, it actually makes me feel so good for you all, as it makes me realize that most families out there are wonderful, supportive people, and it makes my heart happy. Thank you so much, kind strangers, for all the awards, and holy crap, I cannot thank you enough. Father-in-law is making mother-in-law's bail this morning, and she'll be released from holding. We're going through with filing a restraining order and a no-contact order. They have to be 2 separate filings in my state. We'll receive a court date within a few weeks, so we have time to prepare. Husband spoke with an attorney this morning, and the attorney mentioned that it would be a great idea to file for a paternity test through the court. It'd be a lot cheaper this way, and there can't be any question about the authenticity this way. It also won't be presented until it is used as evidence for the case. Husband has been nothing short of amazing. He's supportive and very protective of me and his girls, but I know he is having a hard time dealing with the emotions of his mother potentially serving a jail sentence. I really feel awful that this whole situation happened this way. I feel guilt that maybe if I had done a paternity test with D1 when the mean comments started, then all of this could have been prevented. Husband thinks I'm being too hard on myself. I didn't cause any of this, and he's confident that mother-in-law would have caused problems no matter what. It's all waiting for now. Waiting for the baby to arrive, waiting for confirmation of a restraining order, no contact order, waiting for a court date, waiting to see how much my hospital bill is going to cost us. Husband is out right now with daughter 1, getting me breakfast and some snacks. I cannot tell you how much I love this man and the family we have made. Family is what you make it. You don't have to settle for disrespect and seeking approval. He has made me realize how much he truly loves and believes in me at a huge cost. I feel so bad that he now views his own mother as a despicable stranger, and I hope that me and the girls can continue to fill this new void for him going forward. I'll update in a few weeks once our new baby is here and once court stuff is done. Thank you again everyone for allowing me this platform for support. Hope he comes in with an update and says, hello everyone, no link to the original post as it was removed by moderators. My original post gained quite a bit of attention and was then posted in a YouTube video, which made the moderators decide to take it down. For clarification, I don't care that it was shared outside of Reddit, as I have not given any specific names or details that could identify myself or others involved, nor will I ever give those details. So that being said, I don't care if it's shared and I'd appreciate if mods could leave my posts up. I feel I need to clarify this as I've received many messages of people angry and accusing me of deleting my original post when that was not the case. I even attempted to have it put back up without success. So briefly, my original is I have 2 daughters. Husband's side of the family hadn't had a girl born in generations. Mother-in-law came to the conclusion that I must have cheated on husband as he can't make girls. She then assaults me while almost 9 months pregnant with our second daughter. Husband accidentally injures his mum while trying to protect me. Hospital calls police and we file a report. His mum files her own report, but it's soon clear that husband didn't do anything intentionally, just protecting me. Baby does end up being alright in the end, even after mother-in-law kicked me a handful of times while I was on the ground. The doctors explained it to me as, imagine putting an egg inside of a water balloon and slapping it several times. It's hard to make contact with the actual egg and crack it, but it's still a scary situation. Yeah, that comparison didn't ease my mind at all, but they monitored me and baby for a few days and I was released and put on rest until she arrived. So this is where it turns out for the worst. We're home and husband has been a rock, very supportive and comforting to me the whole time. We went no contact with mother-in-law and father-in-law and I genuinely thought he was on my side. I'd come up with the idea to do paternity tests on our girls and send them to mother-in-law as to get back at her, and it seemed like a great idea. We got in contact with a lawyer and he suggested that we take the paternity test through the court so we have it as evidence and then the results couldn't be contested as fraudulent or fake. That sounded great, right? Well, over the next few days, husband got more and more depressed. He started trying to get me to entertain the idea of minimizing mother-in-law's actions and chalking up her behavior to old age. While I'm aware that she is older, she's pretty sound-minded. I told him she'll be getting full screenings for her mental health when we go to court, and that while yes, she's old, she doesn't get to assault me and accuse me of horrible things and use her age as an excuse. If she's found to have some mental issues going on, then I can deal with that. That doesn't mean I ever want to be around her or have her around my kids. A few days go by and I'm nearing my induction day because baby girl isn't making her entrance. And I find out that husband has been talking with father-in-law and mother-in-law behind my back. We get in a big fight and he tells me that he still wants his mum to meet her granddaughter and that we can put this aside until the baby is here. Then afterwards, once she's gotten to meet her, we can resume the legal issues. I'm crying at this point as I thought he was supporting me through this, but in reality he caved in no less than 4 days to his mum. I reminded him that we have put in for a restraining order and a no contact order, and now that he has broken it by contacting them. His response? Well, the no contact order is issued to you, not me, and the restraining order hasn't been approved yet, so mother-in-law can come meet baby girl number 2 before we get approved without breaking any rules. All I could do was just shake my head and cry. I put my foot down and said absolutely not, and I couldn't believe he'd let his mum around me or the baby after she could have killed one of us. He said that I was overreacting, as the baby was not injured, and she wasn't actually trying to hurt the baby, just me. What? She kicked my very pregnant belly repeatedly after she threw a fucking snow globe at my head. We got in a huge fight about me not forgiving her and holding grudges and being unreasonable, and eventually he just left. Where'd he go? Yep, his mum's house a few hours away. He then called me sobbing and told me that if I could see his mum right now, I'd understand. Apparently, when he pushed her while she was assaulting me, he indeed broke 2 of her fingers and she sprained her neck. When she fell back into a shelving unit, she's laid up on the sofa in her living room, can't walk, and in a severe depression. I should feel awful according to him. The least I could do is let her meet her new grandchild and then figure out where to go from there. I'm so infuriated at this point, because not only has he retreated to his mum's house, he left me alone with our oldest daughter who is 2, while I'm supposed to be in bed rest, with fucking stitches in my head and an 8-pound baby in my uterus who refuses to come out, and I'm so exhausted. He doesn't come home for the next 4 days until I'm supposed to check in the hospital for my scheduled induction. My sister comes to watch my oldest daughter and husband takes me to the hospital for the induction. We get set up and they are poking me with things, shoving arms up where they don't belong, pumping me with pitocin, and waiting to see if the baby will come. He's mostly sat in the room on his tablet, as I was admittedly pretty cold and grumpy with him still, and wasn't acknowledging him very much. Finally, I started making progress with labor and things are going well. Baby was starting to move down and I was nearing the point where I needed to push. He did end up putting his tablet away and trying to get more involved. And at this point, I wasn't going to push the support away as I was literally trying to push a baby out of me with no drugs. Finally, the baby started to crown and husband looks at the baby's head and looks at the nurse standing next to the doctors and asks, "When do you do the paternity test?" I stopped mid-push, looked at my husband and screamed, "What the fuck?" The nurse went silent, looking back and forth between me and husband. The doctor then looks at husband and says, "Sir, we are here to deliver and take care of babies. If you have other personal relationship issues, you need to figure that out afterwards. We focus on baby and mum. This is not the place to ask questions like that." I immediately start crying and babbling stuff like, "It's not like that, it's his baby, his mum is a psycho," and stuff. I'm so fucking mortified at the thought that these nurses and doctors now think there's a chance that my baby isn't my husband's, and there's no way I can explain the situation to them. I immediately felt judged by the nurse and couldn't help but feel like I'd been robbed of a beautiful moment. My mind completely shut down, and the short time between crowning and when the baby comes out ended up taking an extremely long time because of how distraught I was. I was so angry at husband. I asked him how he could do that to me. How could he ask that in front of the doctor and nurses when he knows it's his daughter and it was my idea to do the test in the first place? After the baby came out, I just held her and she was beautiful and perfect, but I was so distraught. I couldn't look at husband, and I hate to admit this, but I wouldn't let him hold her. I was just so angry. He left, and when he came back about an hour later, he said that his mum wanted pictures of the baby, and he took out his phone and I smacked it out of his hand. He got angry and left. My sister had to pick us up from the hospital and took us home 2 days later. In my states, you have to take the baby back in 2 days after being home to do tests and check up to make sure the baby is maintaining weight and there's no obvious signs of neglect. So we took her in for the check and then went to a clinic to do a paternity test the same day. The next few days at home were awful. I can't even look at him, and he has avoided being around me or the baby for days. He barely has even looked at her, and is basically practically ignoring our oldest daughter. We got in a fight because I was trying to breastfeed the baby. My oldest daughter was crying because Netflix wasn't working, and I started crying because I was so overwhelmed. And he just looked at our daughter and said, "Mummy didn't pay the Netflix bill because she's mad at grandma." I yelled at him to not say crap like that to a child. He said he just thought I didn't pay it because his mum uses our account at her house. I just forgot to pay it. It had nothing to do with that. He made several comments to our daughter over the next few days like, "Daddy's going to go see grandma. You can't come because mummy hates grandma." Then leave me with a hysterical 2-year-old and a newborn. I'm not gonna lie. I know I'm dealing with crazy hormones and this is a horrible patch, but I seriously considered telling him I wanted a divorce right then and there. He left. I tried my best to cool off, but I couldn't. I've actually convinced myself that I want a divorce over his behavior. Am I going crazy? Is this enough to seriously consider leaving him? We got the results for the paternity test 3 days later. And for anyone who ever doubted me, you all can ride with mother-in-law to Crazy Town. He's the father. He cried and told me he never doubted it, and that he knew he was the dad. I told him that we would do a second test on our oldest daughter, and that I was going to start packing our stuff as I was going to move in with my sister. He bawled and said he didn't need one for our oldest. I demanded we take one, as I'd want it as proof for court whenever we have to get my case heard. I told him that I never cheated on anyone in my life, including him, and how much it hurt me that he said that in the hospital room, and made the nurses and doctors think he doubted our daughter at all. He tried to apologize and hug me, but I pushed him away, and told him he should leave while I packed up some things. My oldest daughter, my baby, and myself are now staying at my sister's house, and he has told me that he refuses to take the second paternity test for our oldest daughter, and is going to make his mum write out a very long apology letter to me. He wants me to come home, but I just can't even look at him the same. I feel like all the love I had for him has been ripped away, and I feel so angry towards him. I'm just trying to take care of our girls, but he won't stop calling me. I told him he can see the girls anytime he wants, but he can't take them near his mum, and she is not allowed to be around them at all. I'm going to give myself a few weeks to sort out my feelings, but is this not enough to justify a divorce? I don't exactly want to go through with a divorce, but I really just can't even look at him the same. And I don't know how I could ever get past this. So it was around 3 months-ish after this post that OP came in with another one that was titled "My husband is punishing our toddler and new baby unless I take him back and stop divorce." Okay, long story short, I, 27 female, gave my husband, 31 male, divorce papers 3 months ago, and he refuses to see our baby since and is saying that I'll be a single mum if I go through with it. We had a huge rocky patch that ended in me just completely falling out of love with him and ultimately deciding that I just couldn't stay with him after he showed me how much his mother's influence can control him. I have a mother-in-law from hell. To make a super long story short, she hated that we're having a second daughter, accused me of cheating and hospitalized me when I was heavily pregnant. My husband was standing up for me at first, but quickly jumped on his mum's crazy train. He left me with both our girls days before I gave birth to our youngest to go stay with his mum. She said nasty, hurtful things to our toddler and used our new baby as leverage to guilt trip me into asking for leniency in his mum's assault hearing towards me. We had a paternity test done on our new daughter to prove she was his and that I didn't cheat on him. And as soon as it was proven that she was his, it's like a switch flipped. He refused to test our oldest as if that would prove he trusted me and was begging me to forgive him. And was being sickeningly sweet to me, and to be honest, it was disgusting to see how much he could flip on me like that. And what really messed me up was that he went from loving, amazing father to our oldest to just plain horrendous to her. He treated her like garbage for the few weeks after the incident, even though he had been an amazing father to her until his mum made stupid accusations. He called her names, like called her a whiny brat, annoying toad. This is particularly upsetting because she's terrified of frogs or toads. Told her to go to your mum when she was upset or crying or hurt, and told her things that were my fault or that mummy hates me and grandma, so you don't get to come with me, and refused to even hold our newborn and avoided looking at her. Prior to this all happening, she was his princess, baby, sweetheart, etc. She's only 2.5, so I know she doesn't grasp the mean stuff he said that much, but it still showed a huge change in her personality. She started putting herself in time out when he would leave because she thought she did something wrong and started to say sorry whenever he was around for no reason. She started having big tantrums and acting out of nowhere, so I do think she understood the things he was saying to her. I told him mistreatment is mistreatment, even if you don't think the toddler can understand you, and that it was disgusting what he was saying to her and to get over himself. I want to stay with my sister, and I've just not been able to look at him the same way. I can't look at him and feel love at all, not even the slightest bit. He's just the guy who fathered my girls at this point. Now it's been 4 months almost since we got the paternity test, and he's been trying to win me back ever since. But I told him I just don't love him after the way he treated our kids over his mum's ridiculous accusations. How can I be with someone who can just abandon his kids over an accusation, and more so be horrible to them? I gave him divorce papers after a month of staying with my sister, and he refuses to do anything about it. He keeps saying, "You're not leaving me, and the day you leave me is the day you become a single mum." I'm so hurt for the babies, and my oldest is quite obviously aware of her dad's absence, but he won't even come see them until I drop the divorce and take him back. His mum is over the moon and has been vague booking on Facebook about how happy she is for her son to find a new future, but she's also posting about how she can't see her grandchildren for pity. She can't be around them because she assaulted me while I was pregnant and was found to have been trying to harm the baby. But she's portraying me as some bitter daughter-in-law, keeping the kids away to play victim to her friends. What the hell do I do? Do I just embrace being a single mum? Even if he accepts that we are done, how do I prevent him popping in and out of their everyday life? I don't want him being an asshole and punishing them by staying when he's not getting his way. Opie came in with another post that was titled, "I'm pregnant and my ex-husband is going to lose his mind. Advice on how to navigate." My ex-husband and I have been divorced officially for 22 months. Our marriage imploded after our second daughter was born, because his family have a weird obsession with boys and implied I cheated because we had girls. Everyone made it clear that girls were inferior, and he sided with his family after they verbally and physically hurt me. That's putting it lightly, but that's the gist. He's been with his new girlfriend for about 6 months and only sees our girls once every week or so. After we divorced, I got really close with a long-term friend from college. He told me he always had feelings for me, but we were always in relationships with other people, so the timing never worked out. I'll fast forward and we've been dating for 16 months, engaged for 4 months. He proposed on our 1-year anniversary. He's known my girls their whole lives. It's been a long time since I've been this happy. Well, I'm 16 weeks pregnant, and we just found out that we're having a baby boy. I haven't told my ex-husband yet, and I just kind of figured he'd get the idea when I'm visibly pregnant. We will start telling the girls in the next few weeks. I know I obviously have to address the situation with my ex. I know he's going to ask if we're having a girl or a boy, and I'm unprepared for how he will react about baby being a boy. Or more realistically, how to navigate the situation when he does eventually find out baby is a boy. I guarantee his reaction will be bad. I just don't know if it's better to announce that we're having a baby boy now or after he's born. My sister says not to tell anyone the sex and say we are waiting till birth to be surprised. But all my mum's friends are saying to announce it now, so he has a few months to process his feelings about our daughter's new sibling. But after that, a post appeared that appeared to be the ex-husband in the situation. It was titled, "I want my pregnant ex-wife and family back." Full disclosure, I fucked up bad, I know that. 2 years ago, me and my ex-wife welcomed our second daughter into the world. My mum put thoughts into my head about the paternity of my girls shortly before her birth. In my family, only boys had been born on my side for several generations. I thought my parents and now my ex-wife got along well, but it all exploded when we were expecting our second daughter. My wife told me that my mum had been implying that she cheated for a long time and making nasty digs at her when I wasn't present. But she didn't tell me because she thought I'd side with my mum. In hindsight, she was actually right. I did let my mum get to me, and my relationship exploded. I went through a shitty time where I wasn't being a good dad. Every time I see my girls, I'd find things that would convince me they weren't mine. I went to stay with my parents after a nasty fight between my wife and my mum. I know it was a huge mistake, and it ultimately ended my marriage. My wife insisted on a paternity test to prove it, and I just knew that there was no way she cheated. I begged her not to do the test, but she was adamant. After the test, she told me that she couldn't look at me the same after I sided with my mum, and she just didn't love me the same way anymore. I went down a spiral and refused a divorce and said if she hated me that much, I'd just sign away my rights to the kids and she could go be a single mum if she felt that way. I know that was wrong. We did get divorced 3 months later, and it's been 2 years. I see my girls every weekend and pick up the oldest from daycare 3 days a week. Things have gotten a lot better and I feel like we have a good co-parenting relationship going on, but there's this wall that she keeps up around me. My wife is engaged to this guy that she'd been dating for a year, and I've been seeing my new girlfriend on and off for 7 months. I just found out that my ex-wife is pregnant. I asked if she knew the gender and she said yes, it's a boy. This is me ripping the band-aid off. If you need some time to process, I understand. I was shocked and she said it was zero emotion and walked inside with my daughters and closed the door. I feel like I'm watching a bad movie play out where some guys get to play house with family and I'm a total outsider. My girlfriend has been talking about marriage and kids and I'm nowhere near ready to even think about that with her. I'm starting to feel like I want my old life back. I got really drunk last night and tried to call my ex-wife, but she didn't answer. I'm glad she didn't, because I would have said some really stupid stuff. Take me back, let's give our family another chance. I'd even take on a new baby as my own, etc. I know it's pathetic and I know this is all my fault. I just don't know how to go about this. I have to pretend I'm okay with this. I don't even know how I can interact with her without spilling my heart and desires. Edit, I cut off my mum 8 months ago and was brutal when I did so. She knows that I regret ever listening to her BS and she's no longer a part of my life. It was her or my kids and I chose my kids. You all act like I dropped my girls off on the side of the road. I'm still actively involved with my children. Edit 2, I'm looking into therapy, but you guys act like a shrink will make me magically stop loving her. Signing out for a while because some of you are huge arseholes. Thanks. So the original OP, the wife, came back in a day later with another update which was removed but recovered, and it says, "Thank you to the dozens of people who reached out to me. I feel like I have a whole team in my corner. We quickly packed a few bags and I got my girls out of the house, heading somewhere safe. He's been calling and texting very unhinged things. I cannot thank everyone in this community enough. He's now blocked on everything that I'm aware of. We'll update when things are settled down. To the few who encouraged him, you fucking suck." And it was after this post that OP deleted their post. So I really hope that they did stay safe away from this guy who seems to be separating more and more from reality by the sounds of it. And the switch up in this story was crazy because, like in the first part of the story, it almost looked like he was a hero. He was defending her, protecting her, cutting his mum off, doing all the things that you should do in that situation. But the second he had to choose between his mother's feelings and his wife's safety, he folded. And that's some crazy level of betrayal. Not just doubting her, not just humiliating her with a paternity test, but doing it after his mother assaulted his pregnant wife and endangered his unborn child. And by the time he's actually regretted it, it's too late. The damage was already done. So later when he comes back in and says he wants his family back, it's like, no mate, you don't miss your family, you miss access to the life that you actually blew up, and those are not the same thing. And totally with OP on this, anyone that was encouraging him to, pursue her in this, you do fucking suck. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.